Hello, everybody. Joe Malone here, live on Dallas Trading Floor, and I had a little bit of difficulty today on my TikTok feed. I'm using another camera, and it is not the greatest thing in the world, but we'll try to get through it. If you want to see any of the slides today, super duper easy. Just go to my profile, click on the link, you'll be able to see the chart. So sorry for this. I lost my iPhone. I don't know where it is. I'm using a Motorola phone, not quite as good. Hopefully, I'll have a new iPhone here in a few days, and we will get all of this problems taken care of. But for right now, the easiest way to see the slides, just go to www.dallastradingfloor.com, or you can click on the link on my profile, and you'll be able to see everything. So, let's get into the slides now. Okay, great. Well, it is, you know, interesting day today, Monday. Microsoft and Apple are down, which, is kind of not the thing you want to see. But interestingly enough, Tesla is up. So just wanted to indicate the market is in a confirmed uptrend right now. So, we want to come out of cash if we can and move into the market. And that's definitely what I'm trying to do. I've been doing that. Also been trying to sell into strength, and this is kind of how it stacks up with the stock market. The Dow Jones is up today just a little bit, 0.18. S&P 500, that's off just it's basically even. The Nasdaq is up a little bit, which is really interesting because we don't have, we don't have either either Apple or Microsoft powering it higher. So it's sort of Tesla, I think that's the one. Russell 2000, it's up significantly. So it seems as if towards the end of the year, I think we're going to get some love in the smaller cap stocks, and they seem to be doing good. So that's something that you can definitely count on. See, you might want to look at the IWM. That's the ETF that covers the Russell 2000. And I think towards the end of the year, this ought to be a pretty good area of the market to be in. I just wanted to show you the high-low ratio. Now, this is kind of a weird indicator that I I like to look at, but basically what it does is it shows market it shows market bottoms, and essentially in the last few days, it has been moving up from almost a point 0.5, which would have been, which would have retreated the market. So, believe it or not, and this is really hard to believe, the market is in a confirmed uptrend right now. So it's a good time to actually go into the market, which seems counterproductive because everybody that I've been listening to anyway seems to be very doom and gloom on the market. And but the technicals just aren't showing that. So it's just I'm a chartist. I go by what the charts say. So for at least for right now, boy, it seems to be a good time to be in the market. So that's a kind of a good thing. Here's what I've been buying today, and if you're looking on TikTok, I'm showing actual charts, but I'm showing them on YouTube simultaneously. So what you have to do is you have to go to the profile, click on the link, and then scroll down, and you'll be able to see the live YouTube feed. When I took this slide, Tesla was up $80 a share, about 7.26%. It seems like there's a lot of action moving into Tesla right now. I've been buying this morning. I bought in several of my accounts, and I've been loading up today. We'll see what happens, but right now, when this slide was taken, anyways, we were at 940. I don't know. I have to see exactly where it closed, but it's pushing right up on that $12,000 mark, which is very key. If Tesla can move above $1,200 a share, then I think it's even going higher. The volume was up tremendously today, 143%, and its composite rating of 99. So it's looking very, very, very good on that. Um, let's see. Uh, the AMD, I also am in AMD. That is up strongly today too, at 124.02. So that's looking pretty good. I definitely I bought this on Friday, and it's up about 3.12%. Thanks, by the way, for reaching out to me on the iCloud thing. I've been working with the iCloud thing. It says it's somewhere in my garage. I have no idea where it's at. I've been looking. I was looking for it last night. I couldn't find it. It was indicating that it was in my garage. I know that it's there somewhere. I just have to find it. It's just so frustrating. But uh, anyways, it's par for the course. Um, par for the course. But anyways, I'm buying AMD today, looking pretty good on AMD. Also, kind of more speculative. We don't always want to be that speculative, but one that I definitely bought this morning. Now, normally I don't recommend this. Okay, it's got a composite rating of 52. Not a really great composite rating. Like to see at least 80 there. But anyways, I thought I would take a flyer on GitLab only because this area is a big area. As a matter of fact, Microsoft bought you know, bought GitHub, which is kind of the competitor. No, not really. So this is a tremendous. If you're into software development, and I was at one time, no longer kind of doing this stock thing full time, but this is a great thing because it's a cloud-based development platform. I'm sure that tons of people out there use it. If you're developing software and you're trying to do handoffs and stuff like that, or do agile development, boy, this is a good product. GitLab, GitLab, the symbol on it GTLB. It's up about 2.45% today. Pretty good. Low volume though. That's a little bit frightening for me, but overall, I thought I would take a flyer on this one. I'm probably going to put my stop loss pretty tight at about 110 on this one, but very looking pretty good. I did do some selling today, sold in before earnings. I'm trying to eat my own dog food and not, normally, if I was up 10% on a stock, I would hold it through earnings. But in this case, that's not the case with Denbury. I had a nice run on Denbury. Basically held it for 7 days. It's up 4%. Coming into earnings, didn't want to give up that profit, so I just sold. We'll see how it comes to earnings. Looking for this is a very good area, by the way. The oil and gas is just continuing to be a powerful area. What I'm looking for in the oil and gas area, though, are setups that are going to work, and that's so key. I mean, you just have to get setups that are going to work. And right now, as stocks come into earnings, that's the case here for Denbury. Definitely want to sell them in the strength. It's up about $1.59 today, so it's up, and I thought I would sell it, take the profit, and run around and run. Also sold a steel stock TX. Basically, I've been holding that for 18 days. It's up about 5%, not a whole lot, but every 5% works, I mean, if you do this on a regular basis, you're going to make about 2% a week, which is pretty darn good. And if you can do this on a regular basis and then get your super winners like Tesla and put money into that, I think you're going to be ahead a lot. So that's kind of where the earnings are there. So this is what I've been taking profits in get Denbury Resources and TX. Now I was stopped out of CrowdStrike, which is kind of disappointing because I like the company, but I was dropped out of it. And hey, it's just one of those things. You just gotta deal. Um, the stock of the day for IBD, Investor Business Daily. By the way, I don't make any money from them, but I really like their products. So it's definitely worth, at least getting the digital version. If you don't have to get everything. You don't have to get everything like I have, but it's definitely worth looking into the digital version. They have good charts. I think that really unfortunately, you gotta get you gotta get the senior product, which is, Market Smith. That's the one I use, but, even the junior product is good. They've got some good screens, and they've got a lot of things going on that are pretty good. This is an ascending basis. Is Macy's. It's a little bit extended, so I probably would not recommend a buy on this one. It just kinda out of nowhere went up, which is tremendous. As if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been in Macy's for quite a while. I was in Macy's, I sold it, and I haven't re-entered it, but still a great stock, $28.41, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Just kind of wanted to show you the small portfolio. Now, again, I sold today Denbury, CrowdStrike, and Turnium. So that's the reason for the cash, 48% cash. Normally, I wouldn't hold that much cash. I'm looking for new investment targets, but basically, this is kind of, this is sort of the swing trade thing where we look for stocks in an uptrending market. We buy them right before the buy point, or when they're reversing higher, we hold them, and then when they're up about 6 to 10%, we look. We may hold them or may not. EOG Resources, this is going to be having earnings in 2 days. Probably going to be selling this one just because I don't want to give up this profit. Have held it 28 days. It's up 6%, so that's pretty good. Salesforce, I've held this one a little bit longer. It's also up 6%, but I don't have to sell it because it's going to be earnings. Earnings are in 29 days, so I have some time on that one. Ford, I just recently bought this. I'm up 5%. It came through a nice buy point, up about 5%. And I've held this for 5 days, and it looks pretty good. I think they have a very nice story when it comes to when it comes to their with EV, and EVs are pushing everything. Now, GM unfortunately had some disappointment, but I think right now, instead of doing the Chinese companies, I'm looking primarily for my automotive exposure to Ford and to Tesla. Tesla mainly, but Ford as a backup because I do think that they're making some very nice moves in the EV space. It's a very inexpensive stock. It's like 17 bucks. Innovative Industrial Products. This is, of course, the marijuana landlord. It's up. It's up 5% in about 6 days, 29 days to earnings. So I also have that one in there. That's the only REIT that I have. Most of the other REITs I'm not as excited about, but that one's pretty good. Here's currently what I'm holding. I've got EOG, and that's the one. That's the oil that I am holding right now. It's doing very well now. It's going to come up on earnings, and if I'm not up 10%, I will sell it and then wait, and then take my profits, and then hopefully come back and make another buy in that area. I love the oil and gas area right now. It's doing very, very well for me, but I don't want to give up any earnings before. But before earnings, I want to be careful to take my profits. Salesforce, this one has been doing very well. It's up about $2.47 today. Robert Half, I've had this for a while. Again, this one just keeps on chugging higher. Not a very exciting stock, but seems to be moving very, very nicely. The QQQ Trust, of course, that's the NASDAQ 100. That's up today. We talked a little bit about innovative industrial properties. That's up today. Ford, that's up about almost 5% today. That's amazing. The thing that's interesting to me about Ford at this price, even though it's only 80 cents, remember this is a very inexpensive stock, $17.88 a share, and it's up almost 5%. So that's pretty darn good in one day. But really what I'm really interested in is this volume. The volume is up. I always like to see the price increase and the volume increase at the same time. That's showing that there's some strength. Here's my next automotive stock. Of course, this is Tesla. And if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I started buying on this last go round. We based almost for oh gosh, a long time. But we finally started moving. I was in this at about 860, and then I've been buying ever since. I did buy today in one of my accounts. Hopefully, I won't regret it. It's up about 7.25%, which is incredible considering how expensive the stock is. 142% terms up in volume, so that's really good too. CubeSmart, down a little bit. I like the storage area, the self-storage area. I may be in the wrong one. I hope that I made a decision between CubeSmart and Extra Space, and I went for CubeSmart. Extra Space might have been the better one of the two. Don't know yet, but it's down a little bit. So I'm looking at it. I really like the area, but you know, eh, this one's bucking the trend. I don't like it. It's an up day, generally speaking. As you can see, it's almost all blue, all green here. So I should be up on this one. I'm gonna have to check this one out. I might have made a, this one might be a little bit on the bubble. SentinelOne, this is the computer software security company. It's up a little bit, not a lot, but it seems like, it's funny. Leadership seems to be moving away from, CrowdStrike is in the air. I did sell that today. I want to be in the space, but it seems like Now, Sentinel-1 is much more a much newer stock, so we don't know how this one will go, but it is doing better than CrowdStrike right now. CrowdStrike has been pulling back pretty hard. I don't know kinda what's going on it, but CrowdStrike I replaced CrowdStrike with Sentinel-1 in the computer software security area, so you might wanna take a look at Sentinel-1. The only thing I don't like about this, the volume is down, but up otherwise. AMD, of course, I told you about that. I bought that today, this morning. It's up really 3.4% and 11% increase in the volume. So that's really good. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about GitLab, which is I guess it's a competitor really to the Microsoft GitHub. Microsoft bought GitHub, so this is sort of the independent one here, the pure play, and it seems to be doing pretty good. This is an IPO, so I'm a little bit, I'm not really that great on playing IPOs, but I like the area, I like the profitability, so we'll see. We'll see how that one does. Anyways, well, thanks for bearing with me there. Let's get into some of the some of the some of the questions. Thank you very much for holding. And let's get this right here. I'm going to move this over. Pulling up my charts here and getting them running. By the way, if you're looking on TikTok, it's easy to take a look at these charts. I'm actually simulcasting them. I can't do this on unfortunately I cannot do this um, on TikTok, but you can take a look at these charts and everything I'm talking about. If you go over to the YouTube feed, and it's very easy to get to. All you have to do is go to my profile, click on the link that says Beacons, and then scroll on down and to the end, and you just click on the the YouTube logo, the YouTube title, and it will come right up with the live program with the slides. So without further ado, thank you very much for hanging on. Hope everyone's having a good Monday. All right, let's talk about Affirm, AFRM. I kind of want to bring that one up here. AFRM. Let's take a look. And I, this is interesting. IT tech. Okay, yeah, this is okay. So this is I'm trying to think, because some of these are, this is getting to be a big space. Uh, Um, there we go. Okay, there we go. All right. So now, taking a look at a firm, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this because I know it's tough to see on some of the screen, but here we go. Let's take a look and affirm. There was a buy point here on the IPO base at 137.98. Currently, it's selling for 152, so it's a little bit extended. It's a little bit extended, and it looks like it has fallen below the 10-day line. So here's what I would do in this one. I don't think this is necessarily a very good entry point. This is always the difficulty when you're buying these IPOs, and essentially, even though this has been out for about a year, this is still essentially an IPO. So what I'm trying to show here is let's put a line across it. That's the buy point there, really. And so really we're above the buy point. So normally you would think, well, that would be a good place to go, but we've fallen below the 10-day line. So the question is, you know, I wouldn't buy any more here. I can tell you that. I wouldn't buy any more here if I was holding this. And if I was down 7%, I would probably not buy anymore. So here's the thing. If you're down, I don't think this is a failed base, but you want to be careful. It's not. It's extended. So don't buy here. I just have to be kind of kinda clear on that because, you get that's the thing. I mean, I love buying stocks, but, buying them extended is a problem. Now, what happened is it moved above that resistance there. The resistance basically, the buy point was right basically here, right under 140, about 138, and then it moved up very nicely on the 10-day line. Now, what's happened is it's fallen below that 10-day line. That means the acceleration of this move is lowering. It's still very powerful with a 98 relative strength, but we have to look at it. The checklist is very, very good at 78. So, I mean, basically, this is checking off a lot of the boxes. Um, but I think that this is not a good entry point. If you have the stock, no problem. Absolutely no problem. But this is not a good entry. So here's what I would do. If I had it and I was still, I wasn't down more than 7% from where I bought it, hey, I would hang on to this one looking good, but I wouldn't add here. So this is not a good place to add as it is extended. But the stock overall is a good stock. So very interesting stock. Affirm, let me mark that down that we covered that. AFRM, Affirm. Thank you very much. And we did cover that one. So we got a lot of people joining on TikTok. Oh, please update your app to the latest version. Okay, well I'm using a cell phone right now. Unfortunately, that is not. I mean, I lost my phone, so um, some of my stuff is not the greatest. I want to see if I can um, find any questions from TikTok. By the way, if you want to join the Action Trade Alerts, and this is a great way to go, just go to the profile that I have, and I'm actually talking about all these stocks live on on YouTube. So just go to the profile, click the link, and just need first and last name and an email address. We can get you set up. It's free, so that's a good thing to do. Anyways, let's talk about for Polly. Thank you very much. Let's take a look at LKQ. LKQ, and that, of course, I should know this, but I don't, is LKQ Corporate, aftermarket replacement parts for collision repair shops. I do like this area, by the way. This is a very good when inflation hits and there's problems in the market, this is a good place to be. Retail and wholesale parts. So thank you for bringing this up to everyone's attention. This is a good chart, and we're right in a buy zone now. So you know what? And it's pulled right up to the 10-day line. So you know what? I think this is buyable. I mean, just looking at this, it's got an 89 checklist. Um, it's got lots of funds in it. Look at that, 1698 funds. That's looking good. That's looking strong. It's come through. Its earnings, and this is key. You don't want to buy this in front of earnings, but the fact that earnings have happened is a great thing. So let's look at the fundamental. Let's do a little fundamental analysis on this stock. Okay, here we go. This stock is starting to get more profitable, and I really like this. Look at this. Last year, it wasn't doing so good. The sales were down, but starting this year, March of 2021, sales are up. Sales last quarter were great. Sales are up again this quarter, but look at this. The profitability is moving up very, very nicely. And you shouldn't. It's not a good thing to dance at anybody's graves, but the fact that this COVID thing has made new cars especially, more expensive. Used cars do great during this period of time, and of course, collision repair is a great business with lots and lots of margins. Nice cash flow. So this has got a PE ratio of 15. So I think this is a very, very viable stock. And so if you're not already in this one, I definitely think that you could. This is a viable stock. I definitely think this is a good place that you could move. So I would say, start out with a half position, or maybe even more. But what I would recommend with this one, this is a good company, LKQ. Uh, this is a good looking stock here, and it's come through earnings very nicely. It's got a 85 relative strength. It's the retail auto parts wholesaler doing very, very well. That's in the top um, the top part of the stock the market right now, looking very, very good all the way around. 60% funds are in it, so that's a great thing. And let's just kind of check, see kind of what funds are in there. Because remember, the whole strategy here with a lot of these stocks is to find things that are heavily invested. Well, I don't. Let me look at the fund ownership on this one, and I kind of want to. This is definitely a bread and butter. This is definitely a bread and butter type of play. It's not tech or anything like that, but auto parts is just a good area. Boy, look at this large class. See, a lot of A class funds in here. Vanguard, I love Vanguard Total Stock Market and Vanguard 500 Index. See, this plays into the kind of the S&P 500 Russell 2000 sort of good story here, and I'm seeing a lot of A plus funds in here. So yeah, this is looking very very good. So here's the thing: I definitely think you could at least buy a half position in this, and possibly even more. So that's looking very very good, Polly. Appreciate that very much. That's for everybody out there. The stock, the symbol on this one is LKQ, and it's a automotive stock, and it's in the buy zone right now. So it is buyable right as we speak. I don't currently have this one, but I'm looking at this chart. This is a good chart. It's in the buy zone. It's pulled back to the below the 10-day line. So this is looking very strong. So thank you very, very much. That's a really good suggestion there, Paul. I really appreciate it very much. So all right, let's look. Got into Ford at 1427. Ah, pull profits or add? Boy, that's a good question. Let's look at Ford. And as you all know, of course, in the monologue, I'm in Ford as well. I think that Ford may have a little bit more to run. I think it's looking pretty darn good. I mean, the fact that you got in at 14, that's a good. You definitely came through the basing that what that is. So you were at 1427. So that would mean that you would have been in probably, let's see, yeah, extending bounds. Okay, so you would have been in right about. So you've been in since June probably, or right before August. Or no, no, I'm sorry. Probably over here. You've probably been in since, looking at this, probably since about the end of September. So that's a very good run. You did it right after the reversal. That's a very good buy because the ideal time to buy this Ford, which I didn't do, of course, wish I did, was about September 20th. Was a good time because that's when it reversed from a downward trend. And I always talk about this downward trend to an upward trend. So it moved nicely in an upward trend. Now I bought a full position on Friday at 1575, which was probably Johnny come lately. It wasn't the greatest entry. I would have loved to have bought it right at the pivot, but I had tried it a few times and I've been knocked out. I think this time is the charm. I do think that now that we've cleared this 1645 um, buy point, I think it's probably going to go higher. They came through earnings and they weren't whacked too bad. This is what I was worrying about, of course, and this is what I always worry about is going into earnings, because usually, stocks will fall a little bit into earnings. Now, their sales were down a little bit, 5%, and this is really due to the fact that Ford is like a lot of the automobile manufacturers having a lot of trouble getting chips for their F-150s and a lot of their better selling models. So this has been an issue for them, and it did affect their profits down 22%. But they've seemed to have weathered the storm, and it just seems like I think I can see this by the end of the year being at about 25. I really can. Now, is it going to pull back between now and then? Probably, probably. But I'm showing the way I'm looking at this chart is I'm seeing this very very nice kind of kind of line here, and I didn't quite do it right. But you can see it's sort of on this trend. It's sort of come down, bounced, come down, and then come up. I definitely think that by the end of the year, we could see it, maybe 22, 23, and that would be tremendous, and maybe even more. What I like about Ford is that you have the very nice increase in volume, 75%, and we have a very nice movement. So long story short, what would I do? Would I pull the profits or add? Here's what I would do. I would probably at this point I would probably sell half of my position and take some profits. But most of the danger, you're through most of the danger. Most of the danger would have been through earnings. Holding through earnings, this is when you can really get whacked. But it looks like the trend is continuing up. So I probably would sell half of my position in in Ford. I'd probably take some profits. I probably would. But I like what you're doing. I think it's looking very very good. Let's take a question on Palantir. Now let's see. I'm just trying to see if anybody. I wasn't able to put up the the thing for everyone today. Okay. Oh, AMD. Okay. This is a question um, from from TikTok, and I definitely want to cover AMD because I have been buying AMD, and I do like the symbol. So let's take a look at AMD. Come on. Hopefully this will come up here. This is AMD, and I'm just gonna kind of let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on the chart because it's a little bit tough to see on that weekly chart. So let's see if we can move over to the daily. Take a second. There we go. All right, on the daily chart, I'm going to zoom in a little. Yeah, there we go. We can see it a little bit, probably a little bit better. It's a little bit tough to see it sometimes. It's right above the buy zone, and it is continuing. What happened is, you know, last week it was pulling back. It came up to this high here. Basically, oops. Let's see if I can get that right. There we go. So there is some resistance, as you can see, right here at about 127, 128. Okay, so that's right here. Um, that's that it's right about there. We're currently at 125, so and it's off a little bit in after hours. So it's probably gonna settle here a little bit. That's kind of what I'm seeing. I bought it on the 10th on October 18th, and I wrote it up. I did sell it. I haven't annotated the chart. And then I came back in. I came back in today at about 122. So I do like this stock. It's come through earnings nicely. It's in a great group. Uh, this They just had earnings. They're very very good. The sales are up 42%, 54%. Excuse me. Profits were up 78%, and the number of the funds are 42%. This is looking very good. Strong cash flow on AMD. Just looking very, very, very good. So can you enter at this point? Well, we are a little bit extended, I think. Let's just take a look back on the daily. I think we're just slightly above yeah, we are. So on the weekly chart, it shows us basically extended. The buy point's about 120, and we are a little bit extended here. You could buy it here, but it is a little extended. You got to realize that it is a little extended. You could definitely buy it here. I wouldn't buy a full position. Um, I would buy a full position on this. I would probably buy a. I would probably buy a half position, but that would be doable. I still think that it's going higher. I think that I think AMD is going to go higher, and I definitely see by the end of the year, at least if we can continue on this trend, it's probably going to be about a 140, maybe even a 145 stock by the end of the year, and that's AMD. Just a great, great company all the way around. Samuel is talking about Palantir. Now, I'm out of Palantir currently, um, but I'm always looking for a place to get back in. I think it's a great company, and it's in a very interesting area. This database area that is just doing very well right now. The money is starting to flow back into this stock. Um, but there is a buy point on it, but the buy point is is about 29 or 30. So right now it is kind of just moving above the 200-day line. This is not an necessarily ideal place to buy it. Here's what I would recommend with Palantir. With Palantir, I think you want to buy it above about 29. So my advice, or for what it's worth, would be to set a buy stop limit order for about 29. So a buy stop limit order for the limit would equal about 29. I think is a good level. The stop, right, this let's see. The limit would equal 29.10 and the stop 29. 2900. So that's kind of where I see it. Let's see. That's kind of how I would play it with Palantir if I wanted to get it back into this issue. What we really have to do is we have to see it move above about this 29.29 level. Okay, then I think it's buyable. Right now, it's going sideways. Okay, but if it can move above this 29.29, that's the pivot on this consolidation from about 22 up to about 29. That's sort of the range, and if it can break through that, then it's definitely going to probably go higher. But right now, I don't think you want to buy it right at this moment, though it does have a good checklist, 78 checklist. So here's what I would do. I would set a buy. Oops. I would set not then I put up the wrong the wrong one there, but I would set a buy stop limit order. There we go, with a limit of 20, uh, of a stop of 22, a stop of 29, and a limit of 29.20. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the way this order works is if the price of the stock moves above $29, it offers it gives you it offers to buy at 29.20. The reason you want to do that is because you want to buy it as it's moving above that pivot. And if you do that, then you're very likely to buy it as it's moving higher. The big problem is stocks will come up to the pivot and then power. What'll happen is that they'll pull back. So you don't want to buy like that. You want to buy it as it's moving through that pivot. So what I'd recommend on Palantir is to do a buy stop limit order. And I think that this would probably work very, very well. I like buy stop limit orders personally because they help me get into stocks when the stock is actually making its move through the resistance, and that sometimes can be a better entry, a better entry. All right, let's look at FUBO, Fubo. And initially, I kind of dismissed this one, but it's been a pretty good stock. Uh, around now, hopefully in a second we'll have the chart up here. I'll be able to show you that as we speak. So it's almost there. We go. Fubu is up. the The chart is up. So let's take a look at what's going on with Fubu. Okay, basically right now it is below the pivot. The pivot is at 3509. So it's below that, and it's just above the 200-day moving average. It does have a relative strength of 91, which is very, very good. Here's the thing. It has reversed higher, but it's very weak right now. So I would be careful. I would wait. I wouldn't buy this one right now. Wouldn't buy this one right now. The reason is I want to see it move above about 3509. Now, part of the CAN SLIM method in buying stocks is to buy them as they're moving above a pivot point. And currently, the pivot point for Fubo is about 35. So if we were to wait a little bit on this one, it's got a 78 checklist, so it's definitely buyable. I think it would be better. The reason people ask me, "Well, Jim, don't you want to buy at the cheap price?" Well, I do when I'm buying furniture and stuff like that. But with stocks, I want to buy them as they're strong and getting stronger. So what I want to see typically before I'll buy something is something that has proven itself that hey, if I have to sell it quickly, I'll know that there'll be a market for it. So I want to be able to buy into strength, sell into strength. So that's the reason I wait until it's kind of proven itself going through these pivots. Or sometimes they're called buy points. I call them both buy points and pivots. Pretty much the same thing. So as it moves through that, that's when I want to buy it. I want to buy it as it's moving higher on strength because remember, I'm not in love with any of stocks. I don't have a stock museum. I everything is for sale in my portfolio at all times. So I want to buy something and then resell it, hopefully for a higher price. So that's kind of my feeling on this. So I do like Fubu. It's buyable above about 35. So that's kind of what I would do with Fubu right now. I probably wouldn't buy it right at this moment. I would wait until it moves through that pivot. All right. Let's take a quick look at Disney, DIS. Of course, this is a Dow stock, and there's only 30 stocks in the Dow. And even though you turn on the nightly news and they say, "Oh, Disney, the Dow is doing this, the Dow is doing that." Well, it's only 30 stocks. Now there are very very well established stocks, but there's only 30 stocks in the Dow. So I don't follow the Dow as much as I do the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is kind of where all of the more fast-moving, sexier stocks are. That's where Microsoft and Apple live. Of course, those are kind of old now, but it's also where Tesla lives, and so it's pretty a good area. Now, let's look at the chart for Disney. I've drawn a reversal line here. I don't think you can see it. This is the reversal line. It's kind of this dotted black line, and unfortunately, right now Disney is in a downtrend. That's kind of dismal when you think about it. But right now, Disney um, is in a downtrend. Don't buy it. So you know, part of my philosophy, of course, is that you don't want to ever catch a falling knife. You just don't want to do it. And right now, unfortunately, Disney is a falling knife. Can you believe that? It's a falling knife, but it is. Now, maybe it will get some support at a 169 and then reverse higher, but right now it's just not a good place to buy this one. You want to buy it as it's moving higher. So right now, I just can't recommend buying Disney. I just can't do it. It's just not. It's just not at a place that you want to buy it. It is falling, and so you just don't want to catch that falling knife. So that's my advice on Disney. It's a no buy for me, just because it's pulling back. I don't want to buy it pulling back. I want to buy it moving higher. That's what I want to do. All right. Thank you very much, Ashut. Happy Monday. Can you take a look at Spotify? Let's take a look at Spotify first, and then ChargePoint and Blink Charging. SPOT, of course, is Spotify. And by the way, I'm available on Spotify. If you want to listen to this podcast without me, without my ugly face, it's available on Spotify under Dallas Training Floor. So I do put it out there on Spotify. If everything technically is working, then I'm a happy camper. All right, let's take a look at Spotify. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that banner off there because there we go. So we can kind of better see sort of what the trend is. Now I'm going to draw this reversal line. Now, I'm not going to go from the highest high. I'm going to go from about this 370. And the reason why is because this is I think a better area to go. And then I'm going to go here to the high, so basically the high here. So this is the reversal line So this is one of the first things that I do is when I look at a when I look at it when I look at a chart is that the first thing I do is I draw this thing called the reversal line. What is that? What I'm doing there is I'm showing what the direction of the chart is. Currently, the chart is in an upward trend because we have moved beyond this reversal line. So that's looking good. And we have gone above 300. So that's looking good too. So we could potentially start, you know, looking to possibly buy that, but we don't, it doesn't seem like they've had any earnings. So, but let's see if they've gone through their reporting. I just want to look at that. Yes. Okay. So their sales are up 25%. They're still losing money, but this is a growth stock. Now, here's a rule. Here's one of the rules that I use with a growth stock. I always want to see a minimum of 20% sales growth every quarter in order to be looking good on buying a growth stock. Okay, we've definitely got that. And we've had that essentially for the last 5 quarters. It looks as if Spotify has been able to move above 20%. So that's very good. They're increasing their sales very nicely. We also have the number of funds. It dropped a little bit, but we have good fund support, and we and 54% of the stock of Spotify is in funds. There is a negative cash flow on it. Of course, it's a growth stock. Now, part of the issue with a growth stock, especially in an area like this, is that they're having to compete against things like iTunes and some other more well capitalized situations. They paid a lot of money to get Joe Rogan. Spotify did. I don't know if that was a good idea or not. I'm of the view is that, you know, if you got the money, maybe that's a good thing. But I probably, if I were in the management there, I probably wouldn't have done it because I like Joe Rogan. He's a nice guy, but you know, that's an awful lot of money. I remember when SiriusXM paid um, what's his name, all that money, and essentially it took the company down. Anyways, so could you buy this at this area? You know, I kind of like this, but here's the thing. I really, you know, it's right kind of on a bubble. 299.67 would be about the earliest you could get into this. It is moving higher, but I want to see how it closes. I want to see if it can close above. Um, I want to see if it can close above 300. Then I'm more interested in it. So you know, possible buy if can close above 300. And that's really the key. And it looks like it did close above 300. So I'm kind of answering my own question here, but I think it's a possible buy because it is closed above 300. And that was sort of that's sort of resistance. So I do like that, but I wouldn't buy more than a half a position. I wouldn't buy more than a half a position here because I am not sure on this one because it is starting to move, but it is just still a little bit weak. So I would say that you could. This is viable, and I would look at possibly buying a half position on Spotify. So thank you for that dealing with my winded long winded explanation. Okay, we did AMD. And by the way, that's if you want to look at that, that's on the that we're doing that um, on the live feed from TikTok, so you'll be able to see that. All right, so we have a few more questions. Let's can't get to everybody, so I'm trying to keep trying to keep it moving. Blink charging. And this is from Mark. Thank you. 35 weeks ago. Let's look at Blink. Um, BLNK. You know, I haven't held this since last summer. Last summer, this was a good stock for me. I traded it pretty extensively. It seems like it's still. I can see why everybody's interested in that 35 because it looks as if it's going to come above the 200-day moving average, and that's a key level for a stock like this. So let's kind of pull that up, and let's hopefully I'm going to get. It's going to give me well. It's going to give me the top hit of the chart. Here's the issue with Blink. you know, I heard Biden talking a little bit about, charging infrastructure, and of course, if they do that, ChargePoint and Blink Charging will be probably beneficiaries of this. We just don't know, but, who knows if they're gonna get the bill through Congress, so who knows? Here's the thing, I think that it's possible by I really wanna see this move above 35 before I'm interested in it, because it on the weekly chart, it looks good. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, okay, so it's reversed, definitely, but it's still below that 200-day line. Wow, it's still below that 200-day line, so I think you need to wait on this one and wait until it moves above about the 35. That's obviously why that there's that call at 85. People are interested in that 85 call, so that might be pretty good. That's a weekly. Um, I'd go out a little bit, try to go out a little further than this, but give it a little bit of time. So that's kind of my talk, my take on that. See what Dinesh has to say. VUSI. Wow, look at that today. Ooh, okay. I don't know what's making that work, but it's working. VU ZI. All right, let's take a look at VUZI, which of course, let's get back to there. Um, which I should have up is okay. Oh, okay. This is eyewear. Okay, this is interesting. I've looked at this chart a bunch of times. I've never bought this company. The question is, why is it making this bounce? Why is it doing this? That is the question. Boy, interesting. If we draw the reversal line, it's going to be, it's still below that. It's still below the 200-day line. Gosh, earnings are in 7 days. I would pass on this one. I know that maybe I'm a little bit too risk averse on this, but I I would just pass on this one. So I would just pass for now. I don't like buying them below. I don't like buying them off the floor. I don't like the dead cat bounces because you can get really, really burned. Here's the thing. I think you got to pass on this one. This has a downward trend. Yes, it is sort of moving up a little bit, but yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I wouldn't buy this one. So yeah, this is the trend. It's not a good trend. It's going from Seattle to Miami, so don't like that trend. Lots of volume. I just think you got to pass on it. I just think you got to pass on this one, at least for now. I don't think there's enough oomph. I don't think there's enough oomph there to do it. So I would pass on it at least for right now. All right, LVS. Let's take a look. This is probably the last or two or three LVS. Okay. Oh, baby. Taking a second for it to with my huge internet, which should be faster than it is, but it isn't. I don't know why it isn't so fast, but LVS. Let's take a look at LVS. Another one, unfortunately, in this sort of downward trend. Gosh, I just have to say no, no, no. I just don't think this is viable. So I would pass on this one. Yeah, no, I think you just don't want to buy this. It's on a downward trend. Downward trends you just don't want to buy in. Because it's more trouble than it's worth. So it's a downward trend. I wouldn't buy it. So that's kind of my take on it. I think I really don't think we have to go any further. It's a downward trend, and you know, downward trends just don't do it, unfortunately. And this is Las Vegas Sands. It's a good company, but I think the one you want to look at instead of Las Vegas Sands, and let's go to the leisure gaming because this is a really good area. Is Caesars CSZR? I think it's right. CSZR. Caesars. Let's see if I got that right. No, I didn't. Um, well, let's see if we can go to the. Well, this is the gaming equipment. I don't know why it's saying gaming equipment. Should be gaming, but Caesars. That's the one you probably want to look at, or possibly MGM. Let's look at MGM because I haven't had MGM in a while, but it's just being kind of punky today. So let's look at the gaming area, and I think that I'm just going to look at the gaming area to see kind of where it's looking the best. Let's see if I can get Caesars up here. Well, let's look at the industry group. I think it's 63 is the gaming equipment. So I'm trying to get it to that level. Hopefully at 63. Okay, there it is. Gaming and equipment. This is where Las Vegas Sands is. I was just kind of surprising. They're a casino operator. That was Sheldon Adelson's old company. So I'm wondering why that is the case. But let's see. Let's look. I want to look at the top stocks in this group. Okay, Aristocrat Leisure, Golden Entertainment, International Game Technologies. That's probably IGT is probably the stock you want, and not. Yeah, I think you want IGT. Yeah, it's extended. Shoot, this is a great stock. IGT, and this should be doing better. Now, the interesting thing about IGT is that IGT manufactures the slot machines, but they have a deal where they're kind of like a leasing company that you get your casino and then they'll put the slot machines in your casino and then they do a revenue share on it. It's really interesting, but unfortunately that's extended, so can't buy IGT. One of my favorite stocks, but I can't buy it right now. Well, I have eaten up almost an hour of your time. Let's see if we have one. Let's see one more question here. Thank you very much, Sophie and Data King. Howard Stern, thank you. That's right, Howard Stern. How could I forget? How could I forget? It seems like he's been, he hasn't been around for a while. They paid him too much money, and then he went out and spent it. Whatever. Let's look at Google, and of course, you know, Google, or Alphabet has not been doing quite as well as we would have thought. At least I would have thought, anyways. It pulled back a little. So I don't know. I I don't know about Google. It's right. It's getting rejected at the hoop, as it were. The hoop is 29.25, and it went right up to that, and then it pulled back. So there's a lot of resistance. I do think that it probably will move through 29.25 soon. I don't think it's reversing, but I do think that there's resistance. So I don't know. I think that there's better. I think there's better bets out here. It's pulled back to the 10-day line. So I don't know. It's got a 100 checklist. I mean, this is the best checklist there is. But why am I not liking this? I should be loving this, but I'm not. I'm not liking this chart. Um, let's see if it can hold at the 40-day line. But right now I'm sort of neutral on it. I'm sort of neutral on I'm sort of neutral on Amazon. I mean, on Google. So I'm neutral. And so I can't really say buy it or not buy it or do anything. It's just but I'm basically neutral on it. And yeah, I mean it's kind of the deal. So I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't not buy it. I mean, I just wouldn't do anything with it. So I probably would not buy it right now at this time. Well, I have wasted another hour of your time. I'll be back tomorrow at at uh, um, at 3:30, and so basically, what you can do if you're not on the Action Trade Alerts yet, It's really easy to do it. All you have to do is go to www. Dallas Trading Floor, and that will give you a that will get you on the list. I want to put this up here so you can see it. And we're instituting some new software, so hopefully, some of the stuff is going to integrate better than it's been, and hopefully we're going to do that. But it's not quite yet happening. But it will be happening soon with Dallas Trading Floor. We're getting maybe more professional. Wouldn't that be great? But anyways, this is what the website looks like on Dallas Trading Floor. And as you can see, there's the free actions there. Let's just first name, SMS, and email address. Just hit that subscribe button. And then I didn't have the right one here, but I'm going to have it up today. It's going to be Dallas Trading Floor number 412. That's the one today. I didn't have time to change it, I'll change that out. And then, of course, we do have the ready list. This is great, by the way, if you're interested. This is a ready list of stocks that are ready to go. That they're not necessarily buying them, but they're getting ready. Also, if you want to go and click on the special Discord service, that's where we have it on. It's live. Ask me any questions from the trading day, and of course, everybody loves this one, and that is the free. Well, it's not free. It's the it's the official Dallas Trading Floor mug for 6.95. I definitely got to sell some of these. But I tell you what, I will give you a free one if you give me free referrals. I will give you one of these free, and it's wonderful, by the way. I just wanted to mention that I have one, and I use it every morning. So, without further ado, thank you. Oh, wait a minute, we got one more. Let's take a look to make sure that I got it. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Sold IGT. Oh, very good. Yeah, yeah. It's a good stock. I like IGT. You did well. You know, in this kind of market, trading, you want to sell some profits, but I really like IGT, and it's a very good stock. Anyways, I will talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully you'll tune in to my show, and I'll be back tomorrow at 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern. Thanks everybody for oh, by the way, you need to like the show if you're watching on um, if you're watching on YouTube. And so happy trading. Be back tomorrow. Thanks everybody. See you later.